and she gets a lighter and just goes and lights my nipples on fire, and I'm like, holy fuck, because they go up in flames. Literally like fucking... literally like flaming nipples, right?
That's so good.
And G'day and welcome back to A Lot to Talk About. It is your boy, the captain of the ship, the man in charge, Bradley J. Driver. You can call me Brad. Pumped to be here for another episode of Bradles and Sissy, of course, with my co-host, my co-pilot, the lady in charge.
Hello.
Shania. For those of you who don't know her, we call her Sissy. Literally everyone in our lives call you Sissy.
I think like people usually have a nickname, but mine has just always been Sissy.
Yeah.
And that's probably thanks to you.
It is, and I think it's also because your name is Shania, so it starts with an S.
People
like,
that try and call me Naya, I'm like, doesn't...
Yeah, you're never a fan of that,
No, it's just, I don't know, it just sounds weird. Anyway, moving on.
Anyways, moving on.
Let's get into it.
We're going to get into it this week, third week. This has actually been a lot of people's favourite show, which is really cool to see and hear. There's been amazing feedback. I don't know, a lot of our female listeners are really enjoying this, and I'm so glad they're all loving it and enjoying being on board, watching, listening to the pod. A lot of the guys are loving it too and finding it very funny. So we hope that can continue into this week's episode, so week 3. We're going to kick it off with a little idea you brought to the show last week.
Yeah.
What we're grateful for, one thing we're looking forward to, and how our week's been.
Yeah.
You can tee it off.
Cool. So weekly roll-up, as we're calling it. Very busy. I've done no uni whatsoever and just been focusing on small business, so... very hectic, but happy, very grateful. Business is still going strong, which is really cool. Something that I'm grateful for is probably just the fact that my business has continued to grow. I thought after that spike that I'd kind of dropped down a little bit, but very grateful. The workload's pretty hectic, but grateful.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And something I'm looking forward to is honestly just seeing you do your run tomorrow. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll be enjoying a nice egg and bacon roll while you're on your 42Ks.
Yeah.
But very excited to see you conquer that again because that's really cool.
Yeah. That's probably, to go into what I'm looking forward to, that. I think that was my answer last week too.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're a day out,
It's exciting.
We're like less than 24 hours out, which is crazy. It gives me butterflies in my belly when I talk about it because... this year has just been... there's been even more adversity than last year, so I think it feels special this year that it's a smaller crew of us, and specifically running with my mate Fooney, who I trained with the whole year. Mm-hmm. We done every long run together, conquered a lot of challenges together.
You've made that relationship.
Yeah, that I think we're ready to go through some pain together tomorrow, and we've got one of my other good mates who was a podcast guest, episode 74, I think, Brett Canellan. So Brett lost part of his leg to a shark attack, and it's a miracle that he's even able to walk, let alone run 42Ks.
Holy shit.
There's a real special feeling amongst our crew for tomorrow with some great bike support, and that's what I'm looking forward to. 42 for CF, look it up. The thing I'm grateful for is my patience. My patience that I allowed my hair to grow out without any home haircuts. And
I was like, I don't know where this one's going.
Yeah, I'm sporting a very nice mullet this week. So
I like to call it the elegant mullet.
It is, like the mid part with the curtains. And
it's very Melbourne.
It is, it's a Melbourne mullet. It's funny because when I'm in the shower or when I'm going for a swim in the morning and my hair's like slicked back, tight on my head, I look like I'm straight out of Bankstown.
Do you know what's funny?
Like it goes right down my neck and it's so slick and just...
Just on that slick note before you get into your next part, I actually had a call from Dad this week asking me what he should do with his hair. He's like, should I do it like Brad? Should I do the slick back? And I was like, here you go. Dad's going to bring back the mullet.
I said to him, bring the mullet. I reckon Dad would suit the mullet.
Yeah.
Like crazy. I don't think... Actually, Karen likes my hair, so maybe she'd like Dad's.
Yeah. Who knows?
And then wrap up of the week. It's just very busy. As I sort of alluded to last week, working part-time in, my old real estate industry connections, and that's been keeping me very busy 4 days a week, just on the phone all day answering inquiries, and then finishing work and editing, and then on the days that I'm off, I'm in here. I actually gave myself a day off on Wednesday, which is the first
Yeah.
day off I've had in probably like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
5 weeks, where I didn't do anything work related. I think I spent like 30 minutes on work stuff. I just needed it going into this Saturday just to feel relaxed.
I thought I'd share this. It's funny that you said that because I literally was just watching a vlog at home and they were saying how they're like full-time influencers, vloggers, and they shared this photo and it's like a lot of people take a day off when they're like on red in their tank, like they're on empty.
Yeah.
But you should really be taking it when you're on like that 10 kilometers to go kind of
thing.
Like before you're fully burnt out.
100%. And that for me was a bit of strategy going into this week. And I know how much mental energy it takes to run a marathon.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't go into this spent because I've been so tired. I've been sleeping like 5 hours a night, which is functional but not amazing. And obviously with all the stress that my body's been through health-wise in the last couple of weeks with bleeding lungs, and I broke my toe Monday morning. Just so much. It's I just thought I needed that day. So it's been a hectic week, but it's always exciting. Fridays are big days in the studio now. That's when we record this on a Friday, and we've got the sports show just before this, and literally inhaled some tuna, rice and salad and then jumped straight into this. So it's a wrap up of the week, the roll up.
Easy done. We love it. Well, we love it. We like it. We love it. We like it.
We love it. It's all good. You guys seem to love it. So amazing. We've got a new little segment this week. Everyone enjoyed the questions and the segment-based content last week.
I think it's fun because people get to do it themselves and like 100%. Mentally talk to themselves.
Mentally go through it. I'll say that the shining star moment from last week was the human flaw.
Oh yeah, it was weird.
The human flaw. If you didn't catch that, check out last week's episode. But there's been a lot of messages from a lot of guys on social media who got the same messages.
Yeah.
A lot of people personally DM'd me and told me how much they were offered to act as human flaws.
Spill the goss. How much?
The most I heard was $1,500. Holy shit. Yeah, in cash. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's obviously some weird fetish thing going on. Yeah. I've got a feeling that the human flaw may be listening to this. I know who he is, but I want him to come out and declare who he is. I don't know him personally. I know his page.
Yeah.
I've got his page on Instagram. It's a public page. What I suggested on social last week is that the human flaw reaches out to us. We'll keep him anonymous. We'll, change his voice to make it like something out of like an FBI show.
It's like the Masked Singer.
Yeah, right. And like we'll cover his face up. He can keep his name private. We just want 5 minutes. We just want to know where your head's at and what the inspiration behind all of this is, to help us better understand why you want other guys to stand on top of you and why you want to watch guys stand on top of each other.
All right, we've hit weird again this week.
Yeah, so we'll steer clear of that now. This week we'll send a suggestion from our friend, Melzy.
Yes, so Melzy has actually come up with a really fun idea of would you rathers, and she's I've only very briefly checked this out. We literally got
I haven't seen it yet.
We got this at like 12:02 or something. Sorry, 12:32.
Show the camera.
So very new, and so I haven't checked these out, so they could be pretty funny.
Okay.
So let's go into it. Okay. So, would you rather be handcuffed together for the rest of your life or never see each other again?
Handcuffed together for sure.
Yeah, this is sibling edition, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
We get on so good that like it would be fine, and there'd obviously be some really weird stuff.
Yeah.
That I probably didn't think that far into it, but
yeah, if I couldn't see you forever, I'd just sacrifice.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Would you rather share a toothbrush with your sibling or share a towel? Fucking hell.
Toothbrush or towel?
Yuck, towel.
Towel for sure. Towel
like
for sure.
You probably got grubbies in your teeth.
No, I don't.
Like broccoli or something.
I'm actually pretty good with brushing my teeth, eh? I just drink too much coffee.
No, but like, do you know when you like brush teeth and there's a bit of broccoli left? Like, well, no.
No, not really.
Towel, at least it's like just skin. It's not in your mouth. Okay. Would you rather get in trouble for something you didn't do or have your sibling get in trouble for something you did?
Definitely have you get in trouble for something I did.
Same, I'm not taking the blame.
So when we grew up...
Actually, I've got a story about this too.
There was one thing growing up that like if like, when you're kids and like you accidentally hurt the other person.
Oh, yeah,
and
you're an
like,
arsehole with this.
Take a free shot, and because you don't want to get in trouble, like, don't tell mum, just take a free shot.
Yeah.
And in our household, it's like, don't tell dad, because dad will give you a bloody smack on the arse. And then I remember, like, every time he used to hit me, like, because I've got a bad liver, I'd make out that she'd hurt my liver, which is really wrong.
Yeah,
Really
it
bad.
used to break my heart as well. And
Yeah, you feel so
you'd be
terrible.
like, oh, you burst my liver.
Yeah, but that's what you get for being a bitch. Like, you were a little bitch sometimes as a
I
kid.
still remember Brad used to cry wolf so much though that one day, so you would have from our last episode you would have known that we talked about like the layout of the house. We had downstairs, kind of self-contained, upstairs where we lived, and I don't know why, but Brad had gone down to the shower.
I know why.
Why?
I'd gotten out of the shower and I walked out and no one was home.
Okay, so anyway, I was in my room doing my thing, and Brad walked out of the shower. No one's home. He's probably trying to suss out if anyone was downstairs.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's walked down a big timber staircase, but I just hear these cries, and they're like, sis, and I was like, he's just being dramatic. He's not hurt. He's just going to scare me or something. So I just didn't go to him. And then Dad got home like not long after, and he's like, Shania, your brother's on the...
I'd gotten out of the shower, had the towel wrapped around me, and I walked out and it was like really quiet and weird and eerie in the house. And I was like, where is everyone? And I think Mum had been at work. I think Dad had gone out to get lunch or something like that for us.
Probably fish and chips.
Yeah, probably fish and chips or something. And Sis was obviously in a room, but I thought she'd gone. So I'm walking around the house. I'm like, where the fuck is everyone? So I'm walking around, and because my feet were still a little bit wet, I just slipped on the top timber stair and literally from the landing, from the halfway point, and slid all the way down to the bottom. And I was like in so much pain.
And it was on slate tiles after that.
Yeah, I was so winded, and I lied there in my towel for like 10 minutes until Dad got home. So I probably wasn't that hurt. I just want to make it more dramatic so you got in trouble.
Oh, and yeah, anyway, so that's that one. Okay. Would you rather let your sibling control your social media or let them control your dating life? And she goes, I feel like this one only applies to Brad. What would you say? So would you prefer to control my dating life or my social media?
Your dating life for sure.
Well, you already do. Before Cowie did anyway.
Because I feel like anything that you got up to on social that I didn't like, I could just control it in your dating life anyways, you know what I mean? Like if the only thing I'd want
What
to
didn't
control...
you like on socials?
Well, nothing, but I mean if there was, say in a different world, right?
Yeah.
Where you don't meet Cal and you guys haven't been together for nearly 4 years.
Yeah.
Your fear is, any older brother, is that, some dickhead is messaging your sister. And you're like, there's no way in the world they're ending up together. So I feel like it's almost like letting a quarterback throw the ball, but just knowing that you can block it before it reaches any potential receiver.
Okay, fair enough analogy.
What about for you with me?
I would probably control your dating life too.
Yeah. She'd love to have her hands on that.
I kind of do.
You pretty much do.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah, it's fair.
Would you rather upload an embarrassing video of yourself or an embarrassing... I can't even say because I'm already nervous. Or an
Come on, spit it out.
Embarrassing video of your sibling. 100% sibling.
Here's the thing, right? There's probably 1,000 embarrassing videos of me on social media. I'd love to upload one of you though, just to see the absolute fucking fear on your face.
I'm such an embarrassing person as it is.
But you know what though, I will say, I think one thing we're both pretty good at is we give very little fucks.
Oh, well, I just own it. You just have to get over it. When you're a person like me that has a lazy eye constantly, trips over yourself,
you've
got to own it.
And I just share a lot of the embarrassing stuff I do anyways, because I think it's funny to let other people laugh at your expense. Yeah,
people like real and raw.
Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing, if there was another person sitting in this room who I'd love to share more embarrassing videos of, Zach Bidoff.
Oh,
hates an embarrassing video or photo getting around. One of my best mates, Zach, we've got this photo of him eating hot wings and sweating profusely and with a mouthful of hot wings and hot sauce all over his face. And it's every time he calls me, which is quite a lot, it pops up on the screen. And quite often if I'm in a setting with other people, they see that and he's so embarrassed by it. He's asked me to change it so many times and I just never will.
Classic. Okay. Would you rather have to share a room with them forever or have to wear their clothes forever? I would wear your clothes forever.
Go that one again.
Would you rather share a room or share clothes forever? Like, you'd have to wear my clothes.
Yeah.
Or share a room with me forever.
I feel like that's a win for you, right? Because, like...
Because you're stylish, you reckon?
No, but because, like, it's kind of like you just have, like, a baggy look. Like, if I had to wear your clothes, I'd be in fucking, like, bike shorts. With my fucking junk looking, like, weird. Because it's, like, fucking... You wear, like, a size 8 or something like that.
They're my sandals.
They're my sandals.
I can't.
I feel like they'd probably just share clothes. Because obviously a room would be frustrating.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh, classic. And for a laugh, because you both have dogs, would you rather eat your dog's food or lick one of their toys? Lick one of their toys, because honestly, the amount of times that my dogs like lick me on the mouth, I just think that would be easier.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. And I have to say...
And I don't let my dogs lick me on the mouth. Let me just clarify.
Yeah. And I have to say, right, we've been for plenty of walks with each other's dogs. I've seen the colour of your dog's shits. I would not want whatever they're eating to be inside my body. So I'm going to go lick
Archie's got
dog's
a nervous
toy.
tummy.
Yeah. Is that it for the Would You Rathers?
Yeah.
All right. So we thought we'd like spiral off the back of that into just some story times, some stories to share. I definitely had one to share.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of laugh about... People have really enjoyed the family travel stories. Wow, way to make a scene. Fucking like... That was like we had a fucking gong in the fucking thing here and you just belted the fuck out of it. Echoing through people's ears and bursting eardrums everywhere at home. We're going to dive into a bunch of stories, but one thing we want to talk about, which is a hot topic at the moment, is the hit Netflix series out of South Korea, Squid Games.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, neither of us have watched it. We've had a lot of recommendations too, which is...
I just don't know if I can do the whole dubbed thing.
I've gotten better with the dub thing.
No, it pisses me off because I read their lips.
Yeah. There's a few things that I've heard about this, right? So, and I'm going to get to the reason why we're talking about this in a second, but everyone's advice has been you have to watch it in Korean and just do subtitles because it's heaps better that way.
Yeah.
I don't fancy myself as a reader. I'm like, oh, fuck an hour of like reading the screen. If it's shit dubbing, I'm like, that's annoying. But the one reason I wanted to talk about this show is Asian game shows are crazy. Mm-hmm. They're crazy. This is more of a life survival show by the sounds of things. But there's a game show that we used to watch growing up, which I think you seem to remember it from a plane. I remember watching it at home.
No, I honestly clearly remember watching episodes of this when we were on our way to Hawaii with Dad.
Yeah, I can remember watching it at home with Dad on pay TV. And we watched way too many hours and episodes of this show. And until we just then Google searched what the idea of the show is, I've never once understood what they were actually doing. Yeah,
and the show is Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah, Takeshi's Castle.
Because we didn't know the name of it before today.
Yeah, it was just like the crazy, I think it was Japanese game show that we used to watch all the time on TV. So there was always you turn the TV on, there's always these crazy scenes like boulders rolling down.
It's kind of like a Japanese Wipeout.
It's kind of like a Japanese Wipeout, but there was always serious injuries and shit because it was so intense. Apparently it was really popular in the late 80s, early 90s. And I think it got a rerun on TV.
Oh God, the ones we used to watch were always very old. Yeah,
and it's so what's the whole idea of the show is there's this Japanese actor.
Well, Takeshi is a count and he has a castle and the contestants are challenged to get to him.
Okay.
That's apparently that's what I Googled.
I never knew that.
Yeah, no.
Watching the show. Never knew that. I just always thought what is the purpose of this show? And I felt like no one ever got to him because I felt like no one ever won this show.
The only one I continuously, when I think of the show is the boulder rolling down the hill and they have to duck into little nooks and crannies to dodge the boulders.
Yeah. That's
literally the only thing I remember about it. But I just remember
so weird. I remember one where they used
to
they were running along water and logs and stuff and do you remember that?
No.
It was always it always looked incredibly painful. But I'd be interested to hear because remember The Simpsons had that crazy Asian game show?
No, I'm such a Simpsons fan. I actually can't remember that.
You can't remember that? There was that crazy Asian game show. I'd be interested to hear what the craziest game show everyone else here thinks is, what they think is the wildest game show on TV.
I don't really watch a lot of TV. I really don't.
They're all placid now. They're all now like based off intelligence or like.
But also like I think because like there's been a lot of new regulations and stuff like that where they have to protect themselves. People sue everyone. Like.
Yeah, true.
You can't really.
True. Wipeout was always funny.
Wipeout's hilarious, but I did think like I'm a huge Ninja Warrior fan.
Yeah, Ninja Warrior is good.
It.
I guess that's like a new age game show.
But still, it's like it's more just like athleticism. It's not like necessarily funny like Wipeout is.
Yeah.
Where, like,
I still think it's extremely funny on Ninja Warrior when you get some cocky motherfucker who comes out there and they fuck up. When you know the ones that fuck up on. They've
always got toe sandals. Always.
Yeah, always in the toe sandals. Yeah. You know the ones that fuck up off the steps.
Like hang on, guys.
Thing? Yeah. That's Velcro for you, those of you listening who can't watch.
Inside jokes.
This, yeah. I always love the people who, you know, the steps that you got to go like side to side on. And like they always fuck up.
On the diagonal?
Yeah.
Just quickly on the Velcros. Do you know what just popped into my head then?
What?
When we went to our friend Claudia's 18th birthday and it was Beauty versus Geek.
Yeah.
Oh, so Beauty and the Geek. And you went as like a nerd, but you had like kisses on your face and you had a SpongeBob beige shorts and Velcro.
Yeah. A small, like an extra small SpongeBob t-shirt that
like
kind of just showed a little
cargos.
bit of like midriff. Extra long cargos that were 3/4, but
you could zip
off just to be a below the knee short. Then white socks with black Velcro shoes.
Oh, so ugly.
And I think I just had like a bowl cut. Just hair on my face and do I have glasses on?
Yeah, because I know I had glasses on. I went as like the cute nerd.
Yeah.
Like every other
I felt like I was the only one that hacked that party. Like everyone went as like the nerd in like a school uniform with like a tie and like slick back hair. And I was just like, I'm so much smarter than you motherfuckers. This is the real nerd.
On that note, okay, I think this is a driver thing where we've just always taken fancy dress to the next level.
This is a great segment.
I still remember, I'm so glad I grew out of it though, because I still remember my best friend, still to this day, my best friend, Alicia. So Alicia had a Disney princess party, and she wasn't into like princesses, but it was like a Disney party where you just came as like a Disney character. And we were probably like 12, and everyone's rocked up in like princess dresses, like obviously like not baby dress ups, like we were still, you know, like semi-teenagers trying to look cool.
Yeah.
I turned up as Happy Feet. And I had a hat and a beak on it, so when you look down, you look like a penguin. And I had the full penguin outfit.
You were such a tomboy, hey?
I look back at that and I was like, I was the only Happy Feet.
It's so funny. Can you imagine the pride of Dad?
Oh yeah, moment? Dropping me
like,
off.
Thinking, what
it's
a
like,
tomboy.
Oh, it's like Dumb and Dumber when Harry met Lloyd and he's like, come here. And he's like taking me like, pretty boy.
Pretty boy. So good. I remember, actually, what would my best fancy dress be?
Hunchback. For sure.
Dad and I went to... So, Dad and I, like, Dad used to take me to all, like, his, like, parties with friends.
Yeah.
So, just because we were, like, best mates. And one year we went as Hunchback of Notre Dame with ice cream containers taped to our backs.
But, like, under a shirt. So
under a shirt, yeah.
It's kind of slack when you think about it.
It is kind of slack. The funny thing about it was, I still remember driving home from that party at like 2 a.m. Debbie, we'll get to that in a sec. Auntie Debbie picked us up from that party and she was driving us back to our place. And because I was like 15, so I couldn't drive. Dad had been on the beers. And we were driving back through Berkeley where we used to live. And this group of like lads, because I think it was a Halloween party. This group of lads had like thrown like nails on the road and we seen them do it. And Auntie Debbie come to like a screeching stop and Dad got out of the car in his hunchback thing and like...
Wouldn't you take it off by the end of the...
I don't know. And just was like abusing the shit out of these guys. And like, I think he chased them down the street. And I'm like, imagine being chased down the street by like a 6-foot fucking just jacked unit. He was about 92 kilos of just solid muscle at the time.
Yeah.
Just chasing these guys down the street and he's got an ice cream container fucking taped to his back. I still remember we had those green trackies on.
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah, because the Hunchback had like green pants, didn't he?
I think Pop still has them, to be
honest. He still has them, definitely does. There was the one where I went to a friend's 16th birthday and it was a superhero theme. And all of the boys were going to get really small superhero costumes from Reject Shop. And I was like, no, I'm going to go a different route and create my own superhero.
In true driver form.
In true driver form, and went as Super Sperm with Spider-Man silly string. I still remember getting there and the girl's parents were like, oh, what are you? And I was like, Super Sperm. And they were like, oh, okay.
Christian school things.
Yeah, quite funny. They were actually all from Christian schools too, I think.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, classic.
I'm trying to think.
Talking about that age, there's so many funny stories. I was 16 at the time. About a year later, my really close mates at time at school, which I'm all still really close with.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky.
All those boys, we're super lucky like that. It was my last year of school, being 16, because I decided to leave and go to TAFE and study fitness. And, our school that year, for the first year, had decided not to throw a year 10 formal. And we had a few of us dropping out who were all really tight. And I remember, because we didn't get that, then when I graduated TAFE a year later and got my PT license, one of my best mates, Matt, was like, we're going to throw a party for you. And I'm like, oh, Matt, what are you thinking? And he's like, leave it to me. It's all a surprise. All you need to do is, you pick us up from school that afternoon, because I was driving and I was 17 at the time. And he's like, you pick us up from school and we'll go back to my place and then everyone can stay at mine. He always, his house was always the place for all of the parties
house, yeah.
and, all of, the fun and where we'd stay and do all that sort of stuff. So we got to Matt's house and his mum had cooked up a big feed for us, and his mum and dad were going out that night, so his grandma was looking after his little sister Jess, who's now, fucking 18, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
And we were going to go do our thing for the night. So we're sitting there, we're having this big feed. And I still remember Matt just chowing down the potato salad. Just fucking there's no tomorrow. And I'm just slow down, and he's like, no, I'm fucking hungry. So he's eating, and all the boys are just sitting around. I think we've been for a swim in the pool. I still remember I was wearing these Wrangler jeans that were, super skinny. They were literally painted on. So tight. I thought my fashion was mad back then, eh? And little bloated belly, because I used to eat about 35,000 calories a day. And we're sitting there and Matt's like, all right, first stop tonight, boys. House party in West After. And all the boys are like, yeah. And he's like, Brad, you're the designated driver, because I didn't drink. I was always sober. And so we went out to this house party in West Apto. I reckon anyone who grew up in our area would probably know this house from house parties. But it was a massive front yard. It was on big farmland, and a lot of it's developed now. But it was kind of when you go along...
I wasn't allowed to go to parties.
Yeah, you weren't. I did, to be honest, this is one of the only house parties I went to, because I wasn't really all that interested in them. But rocked up, it was super dark. There was no lights. It was just, it made no sense. But it was in the middle of this big yard. Walked up to the gate, and I still remember there was a guy standing on the gate, saying people could come in or not. And we get there, and just before I get to him, fucking leg, half my jean, down this fucking puddle. And I'm like... why the fuck would you put the entry point in front of this puddle? He's like, I don't know, man. And I'm like, fucking stupid. Now I've got a fucking wet leg. What a fucking start to the night. And I'm already, I'm pissed off, right? And then I go to walk in, he goes, $10. And I'm like...
oh my God,
what the fuck? I'm like, it's not Mr. fucking Crown. And I'm like, even that's ridiculous. Dude, it's a house party in West Apto. Just let me in. And he's
I'm
like...
on this side of the fence.
Yeah. And all my mates are like, just pay the money to come in. Stop being a dickhead. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So give this guy $10. Walk past. I'm like, this is bullshit. So I'm in a shit mood. And it was so dark, I was like, I'm getting shanked. I'm like, it comes in threes. I fucking had to pay $10 to get in here. My leg's soaking wet with dirty water. And I'm like, I'm 100% getting shanked from behind because I can't see anything and I don't have glasses on. So I was just so paranoid the whole time I'm there watching around.
Yeah.
Then the boys were like, oh, this is shit. Let's get out of here. But I just remember Matt had 13 beers in 45 minutes. And he's 16. He was a year younger than us. He's 16. And I'm just I remember driving back and all the boys are in the car and I'm like, oh, Matt doesn't look good. I'm thinking, I'm like, you all right, Matt? And he's like, yeah, I'm all right. We get back to his house and... we're sitting in the pool house. They had a pool house area, and we're in the lounge room. And Matt's just started to look really grim. And Sam goes, "Oh, Matt, you look pretty pale." And then Matt just gets up and runs outside the pool house and starts spewing potato salad everywhere.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking like this having a spew, then this is like 2 litres. Everywhere. It literally empties his stomach.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then he just goes, the first thing he says, he's like, boys, I need a shit. And we're like, okay. And there was like a little toilet around the back of the pool house.
I don't remember.
So we walk him around to the back of the pool house and we open the door for him and we're like, all right, sit down. He sits down. And we're like, we'll be back. So we close the door and we walk back inside. During this time, right, a stripper's rocked up, right? And the boy's like, we got you a stripper. Like they're all excited, we're 16, 17. She walks over and she's like, who's the star of the show? And all the boys like, Brad's the star of the show, like finding it really funny. And she's like, all right, sit down in this chair. So she grabs a chair from like around the pool area, like an outdoor chair, and she puts it in front of the TV in the TV unit. She literally sprints across the room, does like a cartwheel round off and lands on my lap to the point where, right, she's landed with so much force, the chair went back on the back 2 legs and I had to kind of like push forward into her to like try to rebalance the chair and nearly put me through the TV. I was like, we nearly fucking blew the TV off the wall then, right?
Bloody hell, what did she
And it was like super acrobatic, right? So the strip show's going on. And all the boys are laughing, and I can see Nath's kind of sitting there, like, with his phone out, like it's just hidden in his
16-year-old,
hidden in his like lap, and he's like videoing it. And Blake's like taking photos on his phone, sneaky too. And then she goes to me, she starts laying out this like rug on the floor, and she's like, lie on the floor, and she's like, take your shirt off. So I take my shirt off.
So I do as she said.
And I lie flat on the ground, right? And I don't know what it was. I think it was shaving cream, but I thought it must have been whipped cream or something like that. And she put it on my nipples. And I thought she was going to lick it off my nipples, right? But I didn't realise it. So it's shaving cream. It's on my nipples, right? And she gets a lighter and just goes and lights my nipples on fire. And I'm like, holy fuck, because they go up in flames. Literally like fucking... literally like flaming nipples, right?
That's so good.
And I'm just like, oh fuck. But then it kind of like went through the... So, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's hot. And then she just goes, literally stands up and then just comes down, like fucking slams her 2 like hands, like bang, like on top of my chest, and slaps out the fire. And I was just like, like holy fuck,
little 16-year-old body.
You've literally punctured my lungs, right? My little like what I thought was jacked, completely skinny frame, almost crushed at the hands of this stripper. And there was literally 2 handprints on my chest. And I was like they were there for like a day. And I was like, holy fuck. So anyways, the boys are pissing themselves, right? Because they're like, this is so fucking funny. And we've still got videos of it today.
Oh, no.
Which is funny as, right?
That's your embarrassing video.
So then she leaves, we're all laughing. And then someone, I can't even remember who, just goes, oi, where's Matt? And we just all look at each other, run out to the toilet. Right, because this is like 20 minutes later.
Matt's doing a
Run out to the toilet, and we're like knocking on the door. And we're like, Matt. Nobody answers. We open the door. He's passed out on the toilet, fallen forward, landed on the side of his face. So his face is like pressed against the ground, and his ass is up in the air with no pants on.
Oh no!
And we all just like look at each other, piss ourselves laughing, and pull our phones out and start taking photos of him. And then we're like, once we'd got enough content and we'd all got like videos and photos and shit, we grabbed him, took him inside. I don't think he got to his shit, to be fair. Took him inside, got him in the shower, and he kind of come to a little bit, and then put him to bed, and we laugh about it. It's so funny because he paid for that whole thing and literally just like didn't see any of it. Barely remembered the night. It's so funny. I'm so glad we got videos and photos of that. But it was just so funny. So yeah, that was our
pretty
story.
Funny. God, I don't know if I could top that. I honestly don't have a lot of stories that aren't.
Yeah, you're pretty behaved.
Yeah, like I guess because I used to hang out with you. Like when we were at that age where we were like not partying, but like hanging out and stuff. Like I was in like your friendship group as well. Yeah. So yeah.
I'd be out in town when you were out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fuck, I haven't been to town.
I still remember though, Dad would get me into Mr. Crown when I was like 16. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, we knew the guy at the door.
Because I had all my girlfriends that were your age, they were already going out.
Yeah.
So that was always fun.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Shout out to Dad.
That feels like so long ago. Oh, fuck.
Dad, mind you, Dad would only get me into Mr. Crown because Dad was also at Mr. Crown himself.
Crown, yeah, exactly. So we knew exactly what was going down. That feels like so long ago. Like, I'm 25 now. 7 years ago that I was 18.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about that, hey?
I still remember, like, the first... Like, when you get your license, it's like parents abuse you for that first year that you've got your license and you're not going out. Like... It's always kind of like you're the designated driver. More so me, because I'd go pick Dad up at 2 o'clock in the morning from the heart. But I remember the first night I ever went out. It was probably a month after. I'm one of the first guys in my mates, like circle of mates, to turn 18. Like a lot of the boys turn 18 mid to late year. Mm. And a bunch of the guys who I went to school with and grew up with were like 17 when I was 18. Like they were up a year at school. Mm-hmm. I still remember one night like watching the footy. It was May, sometime in May. And Dad's like, "Oh, Rob and I are going out tonight." And Rob's the father of one of my good mates growing up. So he's like, "We're going out tonight. Do you want to come out?" And I was like, "May as well. Like, I've got nowhere to be in the morning. Like, got nowhere to be tonight. I'll come out." So I get dressed up. And we're going to go to the brewery. And then to the Heart. And so we're driving out. And I've just got a brand new car.
Oh, don't tell me this story. I hate it. Yeah, I hate this story.
Yeah. Just got a brand new car. And... we're driving down to the brewery, and if anyone knows, like, Gong, like, it's really hard to find parking around the brewery. And we're driving down, and I was like, oh, there's no parks. I'm going to do, like, a cheeky little U-ey. And I was like, I'll do a cheeky little U-ey over double lines. I'm like, can you see anything coming? They're like, no, all good. As I'm doing the U-ey, some guy's flown out of this side street, and, like, he was definitely going to T-bone us, but some fucking how, in some world, I swerved and we T-boned him. And, like, we're all fine. It was a really low-impact crash. And he thought he was in the wrong because he was flying out of that street and, like, panicked. And then I was like, no, I'm in the wrong. And, like, I took the onus. But then the car was, like, pretty sort of smashed up, but, like, it was drivable. And so I was like, fuck, what do I do? And I still remember calling Mum and being like... Dad's like, oh, shit happens. Rob's like, shit happens. And the other guy's like, yeah, fuck, like, I'm just as in the wrong as you are. I was speeding. And then I'm like, I called Mum and I'm like, oh, this just happened, but we're all sweet. And Mum's like, oh, bloody hell, like, well, you better take your bloody car home. And I was like, well, we're just going to go out. We're about to go to the Heart.
I still remember you called me. So I was fuming.
You were fuming. Shania's got this thing where she fucking hates, like, cars that are damaged.
I'm a perfectionist. That's why. Like, I hit my car on a pink pole and I literally screamed the car down on the way home. Yeah. I called Mum and I was like, I can't drive this. Like, you're going to have to take it to the, like, mechanic or whatever it's called.
Am I low-key a bad driver?
Terrible.
I think I get it from Mum.
You are... No, I just think you were a bad driver. I can't stand... Like, I hate driving, and we can maybe touch on that in another episode, like my anxiety. Mm. But I cannot stand driving with you because when I'm in the car, it's like go, like, pedal to the floor, and then it's like stop. It's like brakes on, and there's no in between. It makes me feel sick.
I think you don't notice it when you're the driver, though.
And then you do this thing where you're like, I don't know, like, only the camera can see this, but you'll be driving like this, and you'll be looking at me, and you'll be talking, and I'm like, just put your eyes on the fucking road, because I'm scared right now.
I reckon I get it from Mum. Like, Mum's a pretty hectic driver. But...
You've hit your car that many times, too. You have to admit.
Not that many.
Brad, you have hit your car so many times.
Yeah, I feel like a few, but, like, nothing crazy.
You still hit your car. You're still a shit driver. I
think a couple of times it was like in car parks with sunnies on because I had my lenses in there. Depth perception in the dark with sunnies on, not good. Mum's got this thing when she drives where I hate it with a passion, where she always adjusts the volume. It's like she can never not just leave the volume. She's always got to adjust it. Yeah, always adjust it up or down, and she sings and doesn't know the words.
Oh, yes.
You know one thing, actually, while we're on the topic of driving, when we were in Italy, we were, like, appalled. And how much they don't give a fuck about their cars and, like, scraping cars. Remember that one car that was, like, the Volkswagen? It was parked parallel in between two cars. And just literally was, like, the parking spot was so tight to get out. It just kept nudging both forward and back and, like, bending their bumper bars in to the point where it had enough room to scrape past. And, like, nobody batted an eye. We were the only people that were shocked. Yeah,
and Dad was like... I remember Dad was even like, do you get their retro plate? And I was like, I don't know. Like, do you?
It's Italy. Like, what do we do?
I still remember even on the Amalfi Coast when that was a fucking shambles trying to get to the Amalfi Coast from the airport. Holy
remember we were with
shit.
that couple from Sydney?
Yeah.
In the big van?
And so we're in the, like, so we were supposed to get on a bus, but then they only told us that, like, one of us could get on the bus. And Dad was like, well, I'm not going to put one of my children on the bus or leave my children behind.
Yeah.
So we got, like, this minivan and we shared it with another Australian couple. And we're in, like, this big Mercedes commercial van, but it was, like, obviously with seats. And I still remember even looking at Dad and he was, like, scared. And it's very...
The
not
roads
common
there into Amalfi, into the village, are so tight and so bendy. And you can't often see until last minute what's coming around the corner.
Yeah.
And we're in a fucking van overtaking cars on bends. We nearly got hit by 2 buses. Do you remember we nearly hit that chick on the moped?
I was going to say, she just stood there with the horn on in front of the...
like our taxi driver has gone on the wrong side of the road, nearly hit this chick front on a moped, because he couldn't get back in time to our lane. She's bipped and he's just gone like, fuck you, like put his finger out. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? We somehow made it in one piece.
And then it's so calm once you actually get into Amalfi.
Actually, here's another one. Do you remember when we were in Hawaii and we went to the Pro Bowl, which is like the NFL All-Star game?
I was thinking about this the other day.
And it was impossible to get a cab because it was probably a good 45 minutes from like Waikiki, where the main hotels and commercial part of Waikiki is, to where we'd been in Honolulu at the game.
And there was also a lot of hype for the game.
Yeah, and a lot of people out and about trying to get cabs, trying to get back in and out of that area. And we finally got this cab and there was like 2 seats too short. So remember we lied. I
remember. I was in the boot.
We're in the, like 2 of us were in the boot. I think it was me and you.
Yeah. And
the boot of this cab. We thought it was so funny at the time.
We were like, we're rebels.
This is so good. Like, what are they going to do?
Put
us in chains in Hawaii, you bastards.
But when you look back, you're like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
Why did we do that? That was so dangerous.
So funny. So funny. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
I don't know. You tell me. I've kind of been a bit all over the shop this week.
We've been so busy. Like, that's the crazy thing. I'm sort of looking forward to... As much as I'm looking forward to the marathon tomorrow, I'm kind of looking forward to it being done, just so...
Yeah, a bit more freedom.
There's a little bit of freedom in my life, and it's not that this takes up so much time. It takes a lot of mental energy.
Yeah, I just think, like, you don't get to plan as well as you'd like and stuff.
100%. So, I guess the future weeks will be really exciting. We've sort of played so many different roles with this pod now. Like, the first week was very story-orientated. Second week was very segment-based, which people really loved. Like we said, the feedback was great.
Yeah.
Heading into this week, it's kind of been a mix of both. I'm really intrigued to see what people feel is their favourite sort of format. I've got a feeling people are going to lead towards the segments.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yep.
Yeah, want us to do stuff like that every week.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What have you enjoyed the most so far?
I really like the things that kind of get the conversation going for us, but also... I take this from podcasts, like when they're doing like things like Would You Rathers, I sit there at home and I'm like, what would I rather? So I like that because as a listener as well, it's also like engaging, like you enjoy that
100%.
Listening.
I know you've been busy this week. One question I have for you is, in your free time, like what have you been watching, reading, anything exciting?
Honestly, I have not had free time this week.
All right, well, let me reframe the question. What's your GOAT movie and GOAT TV series?
GOAT movie, Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd.
You love that. It's not the most popular Dumb and Dumber. It's like the other one.
Yeah, it's like a remake of Dumb and Dumber kind of thing.
It's funny.
Oh, it's my absolute favourite.
So good. It's like they're at high school. So funny.
And my all-time favourite TV show, holy moly, I'm just going to have to say The Simpsons, and I know that sounds so stupid.
Do you remember
I'm an OG Simpsons. I love The Simpsons. Like, I giggle like a little kid at home when Cal lets me watch The Simpsons. So funny. Do you remember we used to have season 8 on DVD and we used to just watch it on repeat? Yeah, I remember we had Pop's mate Roy. He like burnt season like 1 and 2 or something onto...
Yeah, we had 1 and 2 and then we had 8. And it was just like we just watched them on repeat.
Oh, I love it. Like, because I never get to sit down and watch something like that these days.
I'd love to watch it now being like... You realise the amount of things that are actually made for adults in The Simpsons that you wouldn't have understood as a kid?
I've watched a lot of Family Guy recently as well because that's on Stan, and when we want like a chilled dinner, we put it on.
Very funny.
And it's hilarious.
Did you ever get into Rick and Morty?
No,
I never really did, hey.
Odd.
I watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes. It's kind of funny, but I think when you grow up on The Simpsons, it's kind of like you're a little bit...
Yeah, you just constantly refer back to The Simpsons. You're like, oh no,
so good.
Not right.
So good.
What about you?
For me at the moment, goat movie, without question, Catch Me If You Can, Leo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks.
That. I still haven't
I
watched that.
love that movie. Haven't you watched the whole thing?
No, I get bored.
So good. Based on a true story, like incredible, two amazing actors. Leo's probably my favourite actor. And I just think like, it's kind of just, almost like, even though it's about conning and scamming people, I feel like it's interesting because it's like, you really can kind of be whatever you want to be in life if you just like set some mental energy to it and
100%.
believe it. And like if you allow yourself to believe that you're that person, you can become that person. So I find that really fascinating. In a world that was, you know, far less advanced as far as tech and security and all that stuff go, it's believable that someone actually got away with that stuff, which is cool. And then GOAT TV series, that's a hard one for me. I'd probably lead to Game of Thrones just because of the size of production that it was. Admittedly, the last season was a little bit disappointing. If not that, if not Game of Thrones, like Vikings kind of died for me the last 2 seasons.
I got into it like the first couple of seasons and I was like...
First couple were great.
I still couldn't tell you characters' names or anything.
Yeah, so I was a massive Ragnar fan. Maybe Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, you loved Peaky Blinders.
That's up there too. I've watched that so many times.
One Tree Hill as well. Remember we used to do marathons of that?
We used to watch One Tree Hill like marathon, and Dad used to watch it too.
Yeah, that was like quite good. Binge series for us.
That was like 9 seasons or something.
Yeah, 8 or 9 seasons.
I don't feel like there's many good shows these days that after 4 seasons, 3 seasons,
they just
can continue. Like for me, there's a couple of shows that like could last like for the length of time. How I Met Your Mother, Friends, those sort of shows that it's like... Yeah. There's... Seinfeld's one that I never really watched growing up, but people seem to love. I've watched stuff I've watched I thought was funny. But like How I Met Your Mother for me, it's like the one that you can throw on at any stage. Doesn't matter when you catch up to it. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was so funny. I always loved the stuff about the slaps and like...
I think it just because it was like... For me, it was like repetitive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I kind of like the way that the show developed and like, if you haven't watched it, this might be a spoiler alert, so skip forward like a minute here, but the way he finds his wife, she passes and then he ends up back with Robin. It's kind of like everyone was happy for that to happen and she wanted him to like... Yeah. It's not like, it's nice and it's funny, but... and it's kind of relatable. Like, I've watched it, but I wouldn't rewatch it. Yeah, you and your friends going through life and growing up. Like, I feel like it's relatable. Oh, yeah, 100%. Especially as we enter that age of our lives now where it's like you're growing up and you're doing all those scary but exciting things. And I'm definitely a Ted. Just can't find the mother of my children. So... Oh, what am I? Well, like, you're a Lily. Yeah, I was going to say, am I a Lily? She's a school teacher, wasn't she? Yeah, Cal's big. He's Marshall. Yeah. Marshall, all right. Yeah, so they're probably my two. Yeah. Probably my two. I'd be interested to hear what everyone's watching, whether anyone's watching Squid Games. Yeah, I need recommendations because I go onto Netflix and Stan and I sit there and scroll for a good half an hour to the point that Cal and I, this is why we watch Family Guy at dinner time. Yeah. Because we are so sick of trying to scroll for something to watch. Pretty insane. And I think it's because, I don't know, like I just feel like Netflix never actually... add new stuff to it. Like they add like a series, but it's like not what we would watch. It's a lot of the series are the same. They're like crime investigation based shows. Yeah. Do you feel? I don't. I kind of enjoy that stuff. I remember as kids, you couldn't watch NCIS before bed? Oh, I still can't. Freak you out? I still can't. Like I hate it. So funny. I hate anything action like or like that like spy scene. Can't stand it. All right, hey, we might wrap this up, but to wrap it up, there's that last little segment we do where we like to give a shout out to a small business each. Yeah. Who have you got in mind this week? I'm going to do Rosie Scents. So our good friend Georgia, she's just created her own... Shout out to G. She's just created her own beautiful handmade candles, and I resonate with her a lot because obviously I started my small business a few months before she started hers. But small business is really, really tough, and so... just being able to show as much support, there's so many candle companies, but if you've got mates and local companies that are doing it, like support them. And I think definitely. That's the most important thing is why not support local when you can? And they look and smell beautiful. So yeah, it's great. Maybe a little Christmas gift for family and friends. They're little beautiful. Gift heading into the end of the year. Yeah. We all need a little bit of love right now. So surprise your friends with a with a candle from
And
Rosie
keep
Scents.
the money in the local economy as well. I think
100%.
that's important.
Definitely. Shout out to my small business of choice, which is the cafe that we're working above right now. So my very good friends at Liam in Wollongong. Obviously, this is one for the locals, but Liam is one of the longest serving, I think since like '07, cafes in the Gong. Unbelievable coffee, Campos beans.
I get it to take home too.
Yeah, so good. They were a little bit late to reopen fully. They're opening at full capacity this week. So by the time you're listening to this, as of Monday the 18th, you'll be able to sit in and dine in at Lee and Me if you're fully vaccinated and get around it. They're just amazing people. My studio's above their cafe here, and just such, like, it's a family-run business. They're bloody lovely, and the food, the coffee, everything's amazing. So
everyone loves it.
Yeah, so good. And I think it's nice to touch on a business like that at the moment. Hospitality industry especially has struggled so much through COVID, and we need to, like you said, give back to our local economies.
100%.
And there'll be a few peanut butter and poached egg brekkies happening at Lee and Me over the course of the next couple of weeks. So that's our little small biz shout outs. Any wise words from you to wrap it up?
No.
No, not really.
Put me on the spot.
No wisdom to share.
Actually, one thing that I picked up when you said before is you can be whatever you tell yourself you want to be.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's really important, and I've seen that a lot, like making hard decisions in my life lately. I've really created a life that I'm loving right now. So
I'm proud of you. Super proud of you.
Yeah, you can do what you want to do.
One thing I guess I want to finish off on, I'll just take a minute to talk about it here, is obviously my event tomorrow. Not about the event as such, and I think we're like nearly $18,000 in fundraising, which is cool, especially through the year that this has been. But the one thing I really want to touch on is, 42 for CF is about me, someone with cystic fibrosis, wanting to prove to the CF community that for all the challenges that we face, it's still possible to live a really healthy and amazing life. That's what it was about when I created it last year. But this year's been funny. It's almost like the meaning's changed to me. It's become less about CF as a whole. It's become less about running marathons to prove what's possible. It's become a real personal journey. And, last year I went from being really unfit and not being able to run 5Ks to being able to run 42 and conquering that. That's an incredible feeling. You almost get this sense off the back of that, right, that you're invincible. You're like, I can do anything I set my mind to.
Yeah.
And then I started training this year. Prep's going amazing. I'm feeling great. I'm going to be really fast. I'm probably going to hit the goal and the new PB for the marathon that I'd set out to. And then 3 weeks, I had lung bleeds every second night. Then another 3 weeks where my lung bleeds got bad enough that I wasn't allowed to train and had to be on drugs. And it kind of it really spoke to me about what the event actually means. And for me, 42 for CF is in support of CF to raise funds and awareness, but it's an event for everyone, and it's an event to show that marathons are almost the great metaphors for life, right? You can feel really good and amazing, and eventually you hit this wall, and you usually hit the wall at about 32 to 40 Ks in, where it all feels impossible and it feels like you can't make it or you can't push through and continue to move forward. But that's really telling of life, right? Like, life hits you with these challenges and this constant adversity. And it doesn't matter how much further you think you are ahead of yourself last year or how much you've grown as a person, life never gets easier. It's always hard. It's that cliche saying, though, that it never gets easier. You just get stronger. Yeah. And I think that's really been the message of the event this year, is that there is so much pride that you can take from not always just succeeding or being at your best or reaching new heights or new levels. Yeah. The pride you should get, and I guess the pat on the back you should give yourself for being able to continue getting back up when you've been beaten down, is what this is all about. So after 6 weeks of some real challenges and adversity and, getting knocked down a couple of times, I'm looking forward to standing back up and, pushing my way through a tough 42.2 Ks tomorrow. And hopefully by the time you're listening to this, I've completed that. So just want to say thank you to everyone for their support. Obviously you, our family, have been incredible throughout the making of this event. I don't feel too emotional right now. I'll save the tears for after the event.
Wait till tomorrow. That's when it hits.
Crying our eyes out.
I was good last year, and then I just saw you, and I was like, oh shit, here we go again.
Here come the waterfalls. So
can I touch on that as well?
Yeah.
Because obviously Brad has a donation link that Cystic Fibrosis Australia has set up. You can directly donate to that as well.
Yeah.
But my small business, a way that I wanted to be able to give back to not only just Brad, but also his event, I actually created a red range. So any red product on my website, so there is a specific section called the red range, but any red product on my website, $5 from each product, so each bookmark, each keyring goes directly towards 42 for CF. And I feel incredibly grateful because the amount of people that have actually purchased the red range specifically just to support has been like literally incredible. Like I didn't think I'd get near as many orders as I have, to the point where I've had to like literally stop tallying because I can't like look, I just have to do it at the end of the month kind of thing. And that's running all the way up till the 31st of October, so past your event. But yeah, if you're looking to donate but you don't necessarily have money available to donate, but you have you need to buy a gift for someone's birthday or something, my products very affordable. I don't take any profit from these products. The profit goes to 42 for CF, and I think it's something that can really help people support you also purchasing something as well. So that's a different way to donate.
Definitely get around it. Thank you so much for listening, watching, just tuning in to Bradles and Sissy.
We'll be more structured next week.
Next week there'll be a bit more structure, but we're looking forward to your feedback and always appreciative of you coming along for the ride. So that's it from me, the captain of the ship, my co-pilot. Catch us later.